Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, may we invite everyone to please rise for the national anthem, followed by the Sarawak anthem. Thank you. Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further, we shall begin our ceremony this morning with the Doa recital. Therefore, it is our pleasure to call upon Yang Mulia Ustaz Haji Syed Abdullah Aziz bin Wan Yusof to recite the Doa. Dengan hormatnya, dipersilakan.
آمين آمين يا رب العالمين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. اللهم يا الله, Tuhan yang selayaknya menerima segala puji-pujian. Pada pagi yang berbahagia ini kami bersyukur kehadrat-Mu kerana dengan keizinan-Mu ya Allah kami dapat berkumpul untuk bersama-sama dalam meraihkan Majlis Pelancaran Kuching Metro Electric City Bus yang akan disempurnakan oleh yang berbahagia Datuk Haji Abdul Karim RAHMAN HAMZAH, Menteri Pelancongan, Kesenian dan Kebudayaan Sarawak dan Menteri Belia dan Sukan Sarawak. Allahumma ya Allah, dengan penuh rasa kegembiraan dan kesyukuran kami memohon kehadrat-Mu agar memberkati dan merahmati majlis kami ini Allahumma ya Allah, Tuhan yang maha luas kurniaannya, ya Allah, jadikanlah segala perancangan dan pelaksanaan usaha kami ini berjalan dengan baik dan sempurna. Dengan inayah dan riayah-Mu, anugerahkanlah kepada kami taufik dan hidayah-Mu untuk sentiasa mentaati dan mensyukuri nikmat-nikmat-Mu. Sempurnakanlah nikmat-nikmat-Mu ke atas kami dan anugerahkanlah kepada kami kebahagiaan di dunia dan di akhirat. Allahumma ya Allah, ya Dzal Jalali wal Ikram, perkukuhkanlah hubungan dan perpaduan antara kami. Mesrakanlah hati-hati kami. Bimbinglah kami ke jalan yang selamat. Selamatkanlah kami daripada kegelapan menuju cahaya dan jauhkanlah kami daripada setiap keburukan, sama ada yang kelihatan maupun yang tersembunyi. Ya Allah, lindungi dan peliharakanlah kami daripada wabak penyakit, malapetaka, bahaya dan ancaman musuh yang boleh memudaratkan kami. Allahumma ja'al jam'ana hadha jam'an marhuma wa tafarruqana min ba'dihi tafarruqan ma'suma. Rabbana atina fid dunya hasanah wa fil akhirati hasanatan wa qina adzaban nar. Wa sallallahu ala sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Yang Mulia Ustaz Haji Said Abdul Aziz bin Wan Yusof di atas bacaan doa itu tadi. Salam hormat, salam sejahtera, salam sayangku Sarawak, and a very good morning to all. Warmest greetings to our guest of honor, the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak, and Minister of Youth and Sports Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Datuk Sebastian Ting Chiu Yu, Assistant Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Datuk Snowden Lawan, Assistant Minister of Youth and Sports Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Insinyur Loh Ke Chiang, Chairman of Pedawan Municipal Council, who is represented today by Pengulu Tian Sing Hua. Yang berbahagia Datuk Abang Haji Abdul Karim bin Tun Abang Haji Openg, President of Sarawak Business Foundation. Tuan Haji Muhammad Haidir bin Abang, Principal Deputy Director, representing Datuk Bandar DBKU. Mr. Hee Chang Kee, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak. Mr. Henry Lai, Managing Director of HANS Pacific Sdn Bhd. Yang berbahagia Datuk-Datuk, Datin-Datin, Heads of Government Departments, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Kuching Metro Electric City Bus official launching ceremony. Please give yourselves a big round of applause for being here this morning. And this morning's launching ceremony is organized by HANS Pacific Sdn Bhd in collaboration with the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak. A new chapter is about to unfold as far as experiencing a unique alternative option in the way people can travel around Kuching City, and as an attraction for tourism, making today's official launch a significant moment in Kuching's calendar of events. And the presence of the Honorable Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak makes this occasion even more special, and we are indeed privileged to be a part of this exciting event. Ladies and gentlemen, to formally proceed with our ceremony this morning, it is my pleasure now to call upon the Managing Director of HANS Pacific Sdn Bhd, Mr. Henry Lai, to deliver his welcoming speech. Please welcome Mr. Henry Lai.
Good morning to our guests of honor, the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak, and Minister of Youth and Sport Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Datuk Sebastian Ting Chiu Yau, Assistant Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Datuk Snowden Lawang, Assistant Minister of Youth and Sport Sarawak. Yang Berbahagia Mr. Hee Chang Kee, Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak. Yang Berhormat Law Kert Chiang, Pengerusi Majlis Pelancaran Padawan, who have been represented by Penghulu Tian Xinghua. Yang Berbahagia Datuk Abang Haji Abdul Karim bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, President of Sarawak Business Federation. Tuan Haji Muhammad Kadir bin Abang, Ketua Timbalan Pengarah Dewan Bandaraya Kuching Utara, and Puan Sajat, CEO of Sarawak Tourism Board, and Datin, Head of Government Department, distinguished guests, friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning. Welcome to the official launching ceremony of Kuching Metro Electric City Bus. It is our great honor to have our guest of honor, the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak, and Minister of Youth and Sport Sarawak, to be with us this morning to officiate the official launching ceremony of Kuching Metro Electric City Bus. The ideas of having electric bus in Kuching was first initiated by our Chief Minister, Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Patenggi, Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Johari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, at a function that I attended. And then he mentioned that he wants to eliminate diesel buses and then to replace with electric bus or other clean energy buses. I think our Yang Amat Berhormat Chief Minister ideas, he might need to have somebody there to act and make the thing work. And this morning, we are witnessing the realization of this initiative. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank our guest of honor, the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, who was the person behind the people-centric initiative, which is under his Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak. Thank you to the Honorable Datuk for your support and entrusted us as the service provider to provide this very first electric bus in Kuching to cater for tourists and local for free. My thanks also goes to Mr. Hee Chang Kee, the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture Sarawak, in facilitating and make this project materialize. After the flag-off ceremony officiated by our guest of honor, the Honorable Datuk, and followed by the commencement of the e-bus pilot service on 1st March 2019, the response we received has been very encouraging, and many positive feedback from commuters or even tourists commented the electric bus service is a way forward to preserve our environment, which echo well with the ecotourism destination tagline. The use of clean energy buses in public transportation system is in the upward trend, especially when we look at China, where more than 90% of world electric buses were operated there. In fact, electric bus can coexist with other types of energy source of buses. Different clean energy source will have their own advantage. And for instance, electric bus under normal circumstances, a battery lifespan for an electric bus can last for at least 8 years or more. That is why we always, you always have noticed that many electric vehicle manufacturers will give an 8 years warranty on the battery. The battery technology keeps improving, the capacity getting bigger, and the size is getting smaller. Just to give you my example, my previous electric bus, we have 10 batteries on the bus. And the current new electric bus that we have is only have 8 batteries on the bus. But the capacity is still the same. So now we have using less battery, so later you can explore the new bus that you have more spatial on the interior. And then that's why we have additional features that I'm going to unveil shortly. And, the new battery that we have currently now, they come with a cooling system which even further prolong the battery life. The standard practice of a electric bus battery is once the battery capacity drops to 20 to 30%, we have to replace the battery. Okay, doesn't mean that the battery cannot be used. Okay, so we replace the battery, but the battery that we replace can be used for home or even for Saras project in Sarawak. You see, so I give you an example. Let's say an electric bus that we have, the battery capacity is 300 kilowatts hour. Let's say it dropped 30% of the capacity, there still remain 210 kilowatt hour. So that 210 kilowatt hour of battery can power around 30 to 35 doors under the Saras project. So this battery can be used for another 5 to 10 years. Of course, depend on how you maintain it. And after the 5 to 10 years, then you can bring the battery for recycle. And then we know that recycling of battery is still very low, something like less than 5% globally, but it is a lucrative business venture. Renewable energy like solar panel is getting more popular, but the only setback is the storage cost is still comparatively high to homeowners. I believe this will change as we cannot avoid relying on battery in our daily life, not only power our tech gadget, but our home. Public transportation system is the backbone for the movement of people in a city. We always talk about ridership. For Kuching as an example, how many buses do we need to support the desired frequency and ridership? So if we take Greater Kuching as an Greater Kuching population is around 1 million, and then which under 4 councils like MPKS, DBQ, MPP, and MPKS. The size of Greater Kuching is around 2,030 square kilometers. If we base on 1 million population under Greater Kuching, we need around 1,000 buses. So someone might think that this is very over-ambitious. Okay. If I give you some past 4 decade figures, hopefully it will clear your skepticism. Okay, we will still remember CLL, Chinlong, and STC in the 80s. In the 80s, CLL, they have around 100 overbuses, and STC, they have around 200 overbuses. So if you add up together, is around 300 to 400 buses. Okay? And in the 80s, Kuching population is only 200 plus thousand. You see, 200 plus thousand, but we already have like 300 to 400 buses running. So when you use that calculation, we get the ratio is around 500 to 600 inhabitants per bus. So this means around 500 to 600 people for one bus. Okay. So today, we have around 1 million population. And I can safely say, I also have the chairman or the Pengarah LPKP in Sarawak here. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Kuching have less than 100 buses in operation. And if you use that 1 million to less than 100 buses operating in Kuching, the ratio is 10,000 inhabitants to one bus. But in the 80s, we have 500 to 600 inhabitants to one bus. So it is a very sad figures, to do when we compare to the 80s. Okay, and the question is how we get the number of 1,000 unit buses needed for Kuching public transportation system. I take our neighbor Singapore and also London as an example. I choose these two cities because they have very efficient public transportation system. The size of Singapore is around 728 square kilometers. That is 3 times smaller than Greater Kuching. And the population of Singapore is around 5.8 million. And Greater London is around 1,569 square kilometers. It's 25% smaller than Greater Kuching. So you say Greater London is 25% smaller than Greater Kuching. And then we have a population of 9.3 million, around that. Okay. And Singapore, they have 5,800 buses running. And London, they have 9,500 unit buses running. So the ratio, if you calculate it based on their population, Singapore and London is quite similar. 1,000 inhabitants to one bus. London similar to one bus. Okay? So their ridership is around 70% ridership. For Kuching, if we want to achieve 70% ridership, which is around 700,000 commuters a day using the public transport daily, the Singapore and London figures tell us how many buses that we really need in Kuching in order for us to achieve that 70% ridership. And so some might ask, what went wrong, with our, deteriorating public transport system? My view is government need to actively play their role in improving the public transportation system of a city, and planning must be based on cost effectiveness, sustainable, and pragmatic approach. I think these are the few key things that if we want to improve the public transport. The 4-unit electric buses that we have now will serve the routes from Dun, Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak, to Semenggok Wildlife Center, Orang Hutan, and vice versa. The distance for Dun to Orang Hutan is around 52 kilometers per way. And the service will be commenced after today's launching, will be tomorrow. We will start the operation of the 4 buses officially in Kuching. And there is a total of 107 bus stop and bus stop signages that we're going to put up along this route. So that will give convenience to the passengers or the commuters for those who want to use the service. I think that some commuters, if they don't see any signage on the bus stop, they might worry that whether the bus will passing by that route. But of course, signage will give them convenience, but if they have doubt, then they can, we have apps for them to download, to trace where is the bus. Later I will explain to you on that. And so we already put out quite a number of bus stop signages along the routes. So we would like to take this opportunity to thank Ministry of Local Government and Housing, Sarawak, the MBKS, DBKU, MPP, and MPKS by facilitating us on this matter, in consideration of giving convenience to the commuters. Sarawak Energy, one of our partners, Sarawak Energy, a corporation that we always can rely on, especially we as an electric bus service provider. We both have a very good collaboration with them so far and a very good relationship since the start of our first pilot project 2 years ago in Kuching. So now we will continue to strengthen our collaboration with the 4 new unit electric buses. A lot of you might not aware that this year marked the 100th years of powering Sarawak. 100 years of powering Sarawak. There's been Sarawak Energy is already 100 years old this year. So I believe maybe they have very big things coming up this year. I think which is a very significant milestone for everyone, for our very own power provider. Sarawak Energy always very supportive on our initiative, especially with their EV team. I do learn a lot from them as well because they are the expert on the power, even though I'm the electric bus operator, but they are in the power industry. So I think their knowledge is much more better than me. So with these 4 units, we really can explore more on the, the potential of using electric buses in Kuching and Sarawak in particular. So I would like to also express our gratitude to Sarawak Energy for their sponsorship, and together we hope to explore our common objective, especially in the electric power buses, for the betterment and contribution to our public transportation system. Lastly, on behalf of Han Pacific and Kuching Metro, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to our guest of honor, the Honorable DATUK HAJI ABDUL KARIM HAMZAH, Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture Sarawak, and Minister of Youth and Sport Sarawak, for taking your busy schedule this morning to officiate this launching ceremony. And thank you to all our distinguished guests and friends from the media who attended this morning launching ceremony, and not forgetting to my maintenance, my IT, my operation team members as well. So Chinese New Year just ended 4 days ago. So I think it's still appropriate for me to wish you all a happy Chinese New Year, and stay safe and stay healthy in the year of 2021. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henry Lai. Managing Director of Hands Pacific Sdn Bhd, for your speech. And next, it is our great pleasure to call upon Mr. Henry Lai to have the honor of inviting the Honorable DATUK HAJI Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture Sarawak, and Minister of Youth and Sports Sarawak, to deliver his opening address. Dengan segala hormatnya, dipersilakan.
Terima kasih, saudara pengurusi majlis. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to all of you in attendance today. Yang berhormat Datuk Sebastian Ting Chiu, the Assistant Minister of Tourism, Art and Culture, Sarawak. Yang berhormat Datuk Snodan Lawan, the Assistant Minister of Youth and Sports. Yang berbahagia Mr. Hee Chang Kee, the Permanent Secretary of Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture. Yang berbahagia Datuk Abang Haji Abdul Karim bin Tun Abang Haji Openg, the President of Sarawak Business Federation. Tuan Haji Muhammad Haidir bin Abang, the Principal Deputy Director representing the Datuk Bandar of DBKU. The Chairman of Padawan Municipal Council, or MPP, who is represented by Pengulu Tian Sing Hua, who's also down here. Thank you. Puan Shahzad Datuk Saleh Asko, the CEO of Sarawak Tourism Board. And finally, Mr. Henry Lai, the Managing Director of Hands Pacific. When I see these hands, it always reminds me of that hands, that tomato juice. Yeah, Managing Director of Hands Pacific, Head of Department, tourism industry players, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I would like to thank everyone for your kind presence to this significant occasion today as we gather to witness the official launching of Sarawak's first free public bus running on electric power in Malaysia, actually. And I believe this is the first public transportation use, electric public transportation in Borneo also. Sarawak is the first state in Malaysia with free public buses. Well, they do have, I was made to understand, they do have public buses or electric public bus also in Malacca and probably in Putrajaya, but the one in Sarawak, the one in Kuching that we are launching today is the first free one actually. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, the tourism industry is going through a tough time, a very difficult time where all international borders are closed to tourism. Although the government tried to revive domestic as well as potential green travel zone or green lane travel, the effort were dampened by the continuous spike of COVID-19 cases in unseemly unending waves. However, we see light at the end of the tunnel. We have seen the last few days the launching of our vaccination program, and hopefully with this, it has gone very fast. Until yesterday, more than 8,000 in Sarawak has been vaccinated, and we do hope to see the graph going down. In line with the state government's policy to focus on sustainable development, my ministry, with the guidance of Right Honourable Chief Minister of Sarawak, who has mooted the idea of a free electric city bus service for visitors that come to Kuching, as well as for Sarawakians. The Sarawak City Bus Service, as had been mentioned by Mr. Henry just now, had its trial run in February 2019. That was 2 years ago, on a trial basis with only one bus. I still remember when we launched that trial bus, there was also a lot of comment, how to survive with only one bus, but it was just a trial at that time. We want to see how the situation would be, because the first electric bus that I believe being brought into Borneo probably. The electric city bus service is to provide convenient and free transportation alternative for our visitors as well as the locals by connecting some of the important visitors' destination in Kuching City. The first trial route was covering, at that time I still remember when we went around the first trial route actually. From the courthouse, we went to somewhere in ICOM, then going back and go to Satok Bridge. That was that time. 26 bus stops from the old courthouse to ICOM Square. The trial run in 2019 was, as had been mentioned by Mr. Henry just now, was very well received by the locals as well as the visitors that have come over for its, of course, for its free service, for its innovative, as well as green energy bus service. However, a single bus was limited in its service and route coverage. It was also subject to risk of service disruption due to breakdown and maintenance. Just like our cars, once a while it does break down. If one of the tire got punctured, then you have to replace it. In this case, if one of the tire of the bus got punctured, it will delay everything. But then when you have got few buses, at least the service will still be there moving. That's the reason why when we have our trial bus, well, there are hiccups also when they do have problems. Therefore, in order to have free electric city bus service that is punctual, that is reliable, and covering longer routes, my ministry has proposed to have, for a start, 4 units of new electric city bus to cover longer service from the original 26 bus stops to 54 bus stop loop from the Dewan Undangan Negeri, Sarawak, or the DUN, right up to the Semangguk Wildlife Center, which is one of the most popular visitors' destination in Kuching. Well, you will need to download the apps to see where are the routes. So at least you would be able to know where are the places that the bus will be plying. And from there, you'll be able to catch it once a while if you don't feel like driving or you don't feel like using your car or motorcycle. Well, Mr. Henry Lai did mention just now, making comparison between Kuching City and Singapore as well as London. Well, we are just starting. We are still at a pioneer stage. We should start small. Furthermore, the population of Kuching is still very, very small as compared to London and Outer London, which is about, if I'm not mistaken, what has been mentioned just now was about 9 million. Or Singapore, then they might need to have many, many buses. For Kuching, I think for a start, we can make do with 4 buses first, and we'll see how the response from the commuters. And furthermore, I can see also Sarawakians especially, whether you are from Kuching or whether you're from other parts of Sarawak, the other cities. they love to drive on their own, you know. You can see one house can have 3, 4 cars. You provide public transportation also, they will still want to drive their own. They just love driving. Well, probably because our roads are not that jammed, and driving has become part of the thing which a lot of Kuching nights, a lot of Sarawakian love to do. I love driving. If I got nothing to do, I will just take a car, go to the countryside, and come back. Just feel you just feel good, whether it's riding a bike or whether it's riding a car, you know. So we might not be following what Singapore and London is doing, having hundreds or even thousands of buses as yet, but we will monitor as the years goes by, as the population of Kuching increases, then we will try to see where is the equilibrium, which requires us to probably increase the number of buses to ferry all those that need to go around. It is a good start, as I had mentioned just now, with 4 units of electricity bus in Kuching, and hopefully it will be increased in the years to come. And also, we have all plans to have similar bus services for other towns and cities in Sarawak, like Sibu, Miri, as well as Bintulu, in order to provide a green transportation alternative to the locals as well as to visitors. That is the transportation of the future, I would say, whereby visitors would like to see the environment to be free. When a lot of vehicles are using fossil energy, whether it's diesel or whether it's petrol, it will emit a lot of pollutants into the air, which is not very, very good, actually. Electric buses is considered to be very, very clean, and it's very good for the environment. Definitely, this is something which everyone would be appreciating, because Sarawak is embarking on tourism that goes along the same way, responsible tourism, clean environment. And when many countries are moving into this kind of transportation, I believe, as what had been mentioned by Henry just now, like batteries, we will need new development in batteries, and the batteries will get smaller and smaller. I still remember when we first started our usage of telephone, way back in the 80s, 70s, or late 70s or 80s. They were using that ATO phone. It's so bulky and very huge. Anyone who brings, only the timber tycoons will be carrying around that ATO, whether it's Ericsson or, and that is one phone, but the battery is just like carrying a car battery around, you know. But then things get improved. We changed to the nickel cadmium battery, which is still quite bulky, which you charge it after 2 hours, the battery will be flat. You have to charge it again. And things get smaller and smaller. Now you are using the lithium, where you can charge and it can last you for 24 hours. So the battery gets smaller and smaller and smaller. So I believe one day our cars, even the buses that are operated on batteries, they might just need to have one battery just to last for one whole day. The technology keeps on improving. So don't be surprised something like this is happening, because a lot of the major cities in the world are already using electric buses, whether it's in China, or whether it's in UK or in Europe. Yeah. The initiative to implement electric city tourist buses are also in line with my ministry's focus on responsible tourism. The electric city buses are using rechargeable batteries, and thus it helps to reduce carbon footprint as well as air pollutants. In addition, my ministry has also launched the inaugural publication of Journal of Responsible Tourism Management recently in collaboration with Faculty of Hospitality and Tourism Management of UCSR University, as well as Sarawak Research Society, to further create awareness and insightful research information on responsible tourism. Our initiatives on responsible tourism is also in line with the Sarawak Economic Action Council, the one that has been initiated by our Right Honourable, quite recently, SEAC, the tourism aspiration that by the year 2030, Sarawak will be a leading destination for eco-tourism and business events in ASEAN region, driven by empowered communities to conserve heritage, culture, biodiversity, and to promote investment and development through responsible action. The aspiration will be translated into 3 major outcomes in terms of economic, social, as well as environmental. Today, as we have seen, we have achieved another milestone with the launching of these 4 units of free electric city buses in Kuching. These 4 units of electric city buses will help to provide convenience to visitors as well as to locals who can utilize the free service to reach tourist destinations, to reach tourist attractions and facilities along the extended bus routes, such as Kuching International Airport, the Semenggok Wildlife Center. For information of those who are in this hall, the Semenggok Wildlife Center is one of the most visited places by visitors, whether they are locals or whether they are from overseas. That is a must-visit place whenever they want to come down to Kuching, actually. And with this free bus service on a weekend, families in Kuching, actually, they did not have to drive up. They can just hop onto this bus and reach Semenggok on their own. And that's where you can see the pride, one of the pride of Sarawak, our orangutan in Semenggok. The old Kuching Heritage Trail, the private medical centers, you can use buses to go to these medical centers, whether it's at Norma or whether those medicals KPJ along the way. Apart from that, education institution, shopping malls, MBKS Tutong Community Market. So housewife, mothers who wants to go marketing, probably if the husband has bring the car to work, they can just hop onto this bus to do and take an easy ride to Tutong Market. Well, Kuching Central Bus Express Terminal and also Kuching Malaysia-China Friendship Park. All the electric city buses are equipped with the latest advanced technology. This is the interesting part. Like automated bus stop announcement system, real-time broadcast contained control system, and video passengers counter. It is also equipped with the wheelchair facility and priority seats. So you can see it does provide for facility for the OKUs or the handicaps. It also will have free Wi-Fi. Youngsters who probably are so bored at home, they can just hop and go for a 2 hours trip playing games in the bus, probably. Yeah. And they have also 6 CCTVs camera installed in the bus for the safety of passengers. The latest feature that this electric city bus, which is not provided in the trial bus, actually I was meant to inform, is the folding bike area for bicycle enthusiasts. If you see around Kuching, there are lots of enthusiasts into cycling now. And you can check with any of the bicycle shop, because I cycle also myself. The bicycles that get so much of response from public for the last 1 year is the folding bike. The folding bike, where you can just fold it, it comes in very, very small. It's the folding bike. And this bus, this electric bus, provide facility for that also. If you are riding a bike, if you feel like you are a bit too tired, you want to go home using a bus, you can just fold your bike and then hop on into these buses and then reach your home without having to ride your bike again. Unfortunately, it's only one bus can only allow two bike facility. So if you are in a group, the others will have to ride back home. Only two will be allowed to use the bus with their bikes. I find this to be quite interesting. As I had mentioned just now, you can ride as well as you can use a bus. It has, this electric city bus also has its own apps. It's called Kuching Metro, which you can download, which enable bus users to have real-time monitoring of the location of the bus. So you will know practically where is that bus, so at least you will take your time. If you're still at your friend's house, you can still have a chat, knowing that the bus will only reach the place where you're going to hop onto it. Maybe in 15 minutes time, you can time it, because you can see it from the apps where the next bus is going to come and stop. The current 4 units of electric city bus services from the Dun to Semangut Wildlife Center has an estimated interval time of 2 hours per bus. In the year 2020, visitors' arrival, I'll just mention a little bit about our tourism since I've got this opportunity. Yeah? Visitors' arrival to Sarawak has dropped for the last 1 year by 74% to 1,199,872 as compared to the previous year, that is 2019, which is 4,662,419. All this is because of this pandemic, COVID-19. The tourism receipt has also dropped down tremendously by 75% to just ringgit Malaysia 2.88 billion as compared to the same corresponding period in 2019. Well, the pandemic has affected the tourism industry with an estimated total loss of ringgit Malaysia 8.69 billion. My ministry has been implementing short-term support for the recovery of the tourism, art and culture industry with the support and active engagement with various tourism industry players and stakeholders to revive the state tourism sector. The short-term recovery measures include building confidence to travel through stringent SOPs endorsed by the State Disaster Management Committee, or SDMC, discounted travel incentive through our Siasitok campaign to promote domestic intrastate travel, helping the hotel industry by designating them as quarantine center. I still remember when I had my dialogue with the hoteliers early last year after we have closed the border, there was a lot of complaint. They were saying from 70% occupancy, it should drop down to 10% or even less. But now I don't hear any more of those complaints because a lot of the hotels are being used as quarantine centers. So the government are paying out to the hotel. I don't mind to share. Every 2 months, we have to pay out just for quarantine more than 30 million every 2 months to pay for the hotel quarantine services. We also have incentive to encourage homegrown business events, continuous capacity building and research to prepare for the return of tourists. Hopefully it will be soon as we get to vaccinate as many as possible in Sarawak, and when everybody are given all those passport or pass after you have done your vaccination. Nevertheless, I believe that we can revive our tourism industry by boosting the domestic tourism activities with our Siasito Sarawak tour package and enhancing the confidence of the people to travel domestically while the border are still closed. It has indeed generated good response, and this Siasito program has been extended to the 31st of March 2021. But we will be having a new version of Siasito, that is Siasito 2, where we will be increasing the number of packages, or from, if I'm not mistaken, the first Siasito is about 30. The Siasito 2 will be double that numbers. So there will be many places that Sarawakians can visit. Unfortunately, every time the school holidays come, parents, before this, they will be browsing through where they are going to go, China, Thailand, Indonesia. We have overlooked our own beautiful state. And with this Siasito program, only then they would be able to see way back in their own backyard. There's so many beautiful places to see. That is, in some way, there is a blessing also to all this COVID. Without all this closure to our borders, probably we might not be looking at our own backyard. We will always be looking at other countries' backyard for us to bring our family. Yeah. And that includes me also, because with this COVID, I managed to go to so many places, Logan, Bunut, Mulu, Semadang, rafting with my families. And it is so interesting, actually. And it is so cheap also, with all those packages being offered by the government. With the availability of COVID-19 vaccination, domestic travel within Malaysia as well as Sarawak is expected to slowly recover in the second half of 2021, anticipating a total visitors arrival of 1.1 million, with an estimated tourism receipt of 2.64 billion, hopefully. However, this estimated target will, of course, depend on how much COVID-19 global situation. My ministry hopes that all the policies, direction, and strategies can be transformed into opportunities and initiatives, in particular the local community, to benefit in the future. The local communities can participate in community-based tourism, such as homestay, local hosts, craft and souvenirs, and hoping to reap the benefits of tourism, especially in raising their household income. We believe that the strategies we have planned are achievable, and together we can do so much more. Lastly, I would like to express my appreciation, especially to the state government, to the Right Honourable Chief Minister, who has been supportive of this program and wanting to provide free bus service for Sarawakians. That reflects a caring government. Not many countries, not many states provide free bus services to their citizens. And I would like to also express my appreciation to government agencies for your kind collaboration and continuous effort in promoting our state tourism, in particular the BKU, MBKS, Padawan Municipal Council, Kota Semarahan Municipal Council for their kind approval on installation of bus stop signages at strategic points. I think since we are still in this Chinese New Year mood also, we just had our 15 days of Cap Gome a few days back. I think it's still not too late for me to wish all those who are celebrating the Lunar New Year, the Chinese Lunar New Year, Kong Si Fa Chai, and hope this new year, or this year of the oak, the metal oak, will be a good year for all of us, and also for those that are operating this electricity bus service. Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH, as we invite Datuk to remain on stage for the official launching ceremony. Therefore, it is with great pleasure that we now call upon Mr. Henry Lai to further invite all our distinguished guests seated at the VIP table to join the Honorable Datuk on stage for the official launching ceremony of Kuching Metro Electric City Bus. Dengan hormatnya, dipersilakan. And for the symbolic launching mechanism, we will invite the Honorable Datuk to first pull out the charger, then get ready to the count of 3, 2, and 1, and then to plug in the charger into the charging point to mark the launch. So the countdown will start once everyone is ready. If you're ready, countdown starts now. 3, 2, 1, and launch. Something exciting awaits. Introducing the Kuching Metro Electric City Bus. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, the official launch of Kuching Metro Electric City Bus. Congratulations. Thank you to the Honorable Datuk Haji Abdul Karim Rahman HAMZAH for officiating the launch. But first we'll do the token of appreciation. And as a token of appreciation, Mr. Henry Lai, Managing Director of HANS Pacific, would like to present a memento to our guest of honor for his kind presence and support in officiating this launching ceremony. A memento in the shape of a mini replica of the electric city bus. And we'd like to thank our guest of honor for officiating this function. A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And as part of the activity of events to commemorate this special occasion, we now invite the Honorable Datuk to view the Kuching Metro Electric City Bus, and after that, to experience a joyride on the electric city bus with our distinguished guests and with members of the media for a joyride. And of course, a group photo opportunity beside the Kuching Metro Electric Bus. A historic occasion indeed. And also incidentally, by the way, it's the first time I've witnessed a huge bus being driven into a function hall like this, yeah, for a launching ceremony. Amazing indeed. And for the program info for everyone present here, after this, the Honorable Datuk will go for a joyride, which will take about 10 minutes on the bus around Route 103, yeah? And we will get to be explained about Route 103 a bit later during our program. And also for your info, at the same time, later on after the function, you may have a view of the bus itself, yeah? And also we are glad to inform that you are also invited to experience the joyride on the Kuching Metro electric bus after this event ends, yeah? There are 2 other buses at the ground floor level, which you can take later on. Yes, definitely it's another first for Sarawak. And we are being proud, we are indeed proud being Sarawakians. And now, we shall invite our guest of honor and VIP guests to proceed to board the electric bus located at the ground floor level, a ride which will take roughly about 10 minutes. So ladies and gentlemen, we invite everyone to remain in the hall while our guest of honor and VIP guests experience the bus.
Mountains and seas, there's more in the rhythm and melodies. Open your arms and embrace the land. Let me take your hand.
And as mentioned earlier on, there's an apps you can download, and what apps it is, Mr. Henry Lai will explain to us later on, in his explanation on the details regarding this project. Thank you. You can just watch the video, some highlights on certain relevant details.
Kebanggaanku selalu aman mampu selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju maju Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama-sama jaga Sarawak. Kita sayang Sarawak, sanggup berkorban untuk Sarawak. Oh ha, mari lakukan bersama. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu aman mampu selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama belah nyingku Sarawak. Kita sayau ke Sarawak, sanggup bergadai netan Ketangkas Sarawak. Mari laungkan bersama. Membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu. Amanah bersamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu. Menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama-sama jaga Sarawak. Kita sayang Sarawak, sanggup berkorban untuk Sarawak. Mari laungkan bersama. Membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu. Aman makmur selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu. Menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama belah nyingku Sarawak. Kita sayau ke Sarawak, sanggup berkadai ketangkas Sarawak. Mari laungkan bersama. Membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu. Aman makmur selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu. Menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu, aman makmur selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama belah nyingku Sarawak. Kita sayau ke Sarawak, sanggup bergadai getan ke Sarawak. Oh ha, mari laungkan bersama. Oh ha, membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku, sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu, aman makmur selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama-sama jaga Sarawak. Kita sayang Sarawak, sanggup berkorban untuk Sarawak. Oh ha, mari laungkan bersama. Oh ha, membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku, sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu, aman makmur selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju mercu Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama belah nyingku Sarawak. Kita sayau ke Sarawak, sanggup bergadai getan ke Sarawak. Oh ha, mari laungkan bersama. Oh ha, membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku, sama-sama kita jaga Sarawak. Sama-sama Sarawakku sayangku, kebanggaanku selalu, aman mampu selamanya Sarawakku. Rakyat bersatu padu, pemimpin mengambil tahu, menuju maju Sarawak maju. Kita anak Sarawak, sama-sama jaga Sarawak. Kita sayang Sarawak, sanggup berkorban untuk Sarawak. Oh ha, mari raungkan bersama. Membara di dalam jiwa. Inilah negeriku, tanah tumpah darahku, sama-sama kita jaga.
For the press conference, we shall invite, apart from the Honourable Datuk, we'll invite Yang Berhormat Datuk Sebastian Ting Chiu Yu, Yang Berhormat Datuk Snowden Lawan, Mr. Hee Chang Kee, Permanent Secretary, Minister of Tourism, Arts and Culture, and of course the Managing Director himself, Mr. Henry Lai, for the press conference. And after this, after the press conference, we'll continue with the main program. Meantime, just sit back and enjoy yourselves.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning kepada pihak media. Saya pada masa ini berada di BCCK Kuching kerana baru selepas melancarkan bas elektrik yang pertama di Pulauan Borneo di negeri Sarawak, dan saya percaya bas elektrik percuma yang pertama di Malaysia, dengan kemudahan 4 buah bas yang akan beroperasi besok hari, permulaannya flying around Kuching, dan akan singgah ke tempat-tempat yang menarik di Kuching, sehingga ke Taman Semengguk di Semengguk National Park untuk siapa-siapa yang berminat untuk melihat kehidupan liar yang terdapat di sana. Jadi ini adalah usaha kerajaan negeri Sarawak untuk memberi keselesaan kepada pengguna